So that is why they're still able to do what it is they're able to do, even though we have the majority in the House and the Senate, and we have the executive branch, and we have the Supreme Court. We have a 5-4 on the Supreme Court. I almost forgot to mention that. And they're kicking our butt. Hey everybody, Weasel here. Time for another podcast, and today we are going to review last week. A lot going on. Oh my goodness, a lot going on. We're going to reveal what the hidden agenda is here, and the hypocrisy of the left, as well as how retarded a lot of Republicans can be. So let's get started. First off, Charles Krauthammer has passed away. I'm sure you already know that by now. You know, I wasn't the world's biggest fan, but it's still I still feel a bit of grief after losing Mr. Krauthammer. So he was an intellectual genius. I always did enjoy listening to his commentary and listening to his debates. So our thoughts and prayers go out to his family. Now, also, SCOTUS, Supreme Court of the United States, authorizes taxation without representation. The Conservative Review reports. What are they talking about? Something big happened. So if you've been living in a box all week and haven't heard, states now have the authority, according to the Supreme Court, the law of the land, to tax online products. So if you go to, everybody's been to Amazon, you know, eBay, those kinds of deals. You always find it cheaper online, don't you? That's the beauty of it. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to do anything. You go to the website, you find what you want, you click, click, click. It shows up at your doorstep, and you don't have to pay twice the price by having to go into the store. Well, that's over with. That's officially done. The Supreme Court is going to allow the states, or is ruling that the states can tax these products now. So what is that going to do? What's the implications? When it comes to economics, it's always a trickle-down effect. Now, of course, the liberals would have you believe different. We know that. But it's always a trickle-down effect. Doesn't matter what we're talking about. There is always some form of domino effect to what happens. Okay? Positive and negative. Well, what's going to happen here? Their argument is that the establishments, the stores, it's only fair that because they have to pay the taxes, then online stores should have to pay the taxes. So that means we pay the taxes. What does that mean? That means the stores have to raise their prices. I think of the overhead. I'm a business owner. You have overhead. Overhead has to be paid. Okay? And that's what's going on here. So now, all these stores online that we don't pay taxes on, they now will officially raise their prices. They have to. There's very few that can actually hold out. So now, why is it that people actually want this to pass? Well, these are the big stores like online stores like Amazon. Don't get me wrong, I love Amazon, but they were behind this. They were all for it. Why? Well, because they can handle it. They can take the heat. But what's it going to do for them? It's going to wipe out all the smaller businesses. It's going to put a bunch of hardship on those smaller businesses. So they're just going to capitalize. And you can't feed me this crap that it's only fair. Fair has nothing to do with it. It's basic economics. You know, sometimes I wonder where these people went to school. I really do. How stupid can you be? But, you know, whatever. That's for the attorneys, all those lawyers to argue it out and hash it out in court. I'm just saying, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. Supreme Court says that we have to pay the tax. So let's see what happens. Think about what's the trickle-down effect? I mentioned trickle-down, right? Okay, what's the effect? All right, so now these stores ship out through UPS, FedEx, USPS, right? So those businesses are making money. Well, now what's going to happen? A lot of these smaller businesses are going to stop shipping out. Why? Because they're going to get shut down. They can't afford it. They have to raise their prices, so people are going to stop shopping there. So now the effect happens. Here comes the dominoes. Now FedEx is going to lose business. So forth and so on. And the wheel just rolls down the hill. There's the trickle down. This right here is really, it may sound minimal. I'm not going to lie to you guys. This is big. This is seriously going to affect our economy in a massive way. Don't even get me started on tariffs and what that's going to do. Forcing us to buy only American steel by raising tariffs on imported steel. Look, I support President Trump. He's doing a lot. But this guy needs to learn a little different about tariffs. I'm sorry. That's my opinion. Literally going to send us into a depression. The implications of these tariffs, and I know I'm getting off topic here, are devastating. They truly are. And any person with a sound mind and common sense can see it. You don't have to be a genius, and you don't have to be an economic major, or what do they call it? An economist. What do they do anyways? What does an economist actually do? I don't think they actually do anything. I'm dead serious. I would like somebody to comment and please tell me what it is they actually do. Because they don't do anything. I have yet to figure it out. But anyways, we'll leave that one alone. And forgive me, by the way. My voice is messed up. Been a little under the weather. That's why I haven't posted a podcast in a little while. So, forgive me for my voice here. So now we got President Trump with these tariffs. This is going to have a massive effect. I don't know when. Don't ask me. It could be a year. It could be 5 years. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to have a very serious effect on this economy. Just when it was getting going, too. Then we have the taxes by the states now to tax online goods. Add that into the mix. Start stirring the pot, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting a nice soup mixing up for the last week. A lot going on. Let's see what else. We're not going to read all the articles like we normally do. Just pointing things out. Let's move forward. What else we got here? Oh, yeah. How about the IG report? Now, wait a minute. I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, Weasel, why was that not the first thing we talked about? Right? Am I right? Exactly. Well, I'm trying to be like the mainstream media. Is that my phone ringing while I'm podcasting? Come on. I'm trying to be like the mainstream media here. I'm just going to shuffle this one into the mix. Who cares about the IG report and what it actually said and revealed? Doesn't really matter, does it? Well, that's the media's position. When there's such damning evidence that was found in this report, maybe evidence isn't the best word to use, but it is extremely damning to the Justice Department, to individuals high up in the FBI. Yeah. Investigations, bias, struck that stroke off. Mueller, yeah, it's all in there. Why aren't we talking about it? Seriously, why aren't we talking about it, guys? Does anybody else find it interesting that the moment the IG report comes out, all of a sudden the news is blowing up about DACA and children being separated from their parents because we're turning into Nazi Germany? Anybody make that connection? Anybody notice how all the news mediums and the political leadership just flip the script immediately to something that is mostly a farce? Just distractions, smoke and mirrors, pseudo events. Yeah, I stole that one from Mr. Levin. I forgot the name of the book, but thank you, Mr. Levin. I'll be a backbencher today. Pseudo events. Yeah, that's what's going on. It's smoke and mirrors. Every single time. I mean, has anybody read the IG report? I ain't gonna lie, I didn't read the whole thing, but I read the majority of it. Oh my goodness. So now we got the IG report showing us that the leadership in the FBI attempted a silent coup in the United States of America. I repeat, The leadership in the FBI attempted a silent coup in the United States of America. That's right, I said it. I said it. And we're not talking about it, are we? These diversionary tactics, these pseudo events that the media represents now. You notice how it's so controlled. I mean, these people have a tight grip on the American press. Fourth to state my backside. Man, IG report comes out. We talk about it for 6 hours. And then it just gets swept under the rug. I can't get over that. They talked about it for 6 hours just that evening. And then, oh my goodness, it's Nazi Germany because kids are being separated from their parents. Furthermore, let's move on. And I do want to come back to the IG report because there's something I want to point out to you. But let's move on. Kids are being separated from their parents, right? Is that what's going on here? Oh my God. So the propaganda machine, also known as the media, the progressive propaganda machine, also known as the media, is literally just up in arms. I mean, these people are coming through the woodwork now. They're just, conspiracy doesn't exist anymore. You know why? You know why? Because it's in your face now. Remember how we're always called conspiracy theorists because we're conservative? Because we have these very specific views and these morals and these principles that we live by. And anytime we notice something that the progressive liberal agenda is accomplishing or pushing for, we're conspiracy theorists. But now, it's not conspiracy anymore. Because it's just like out in the open. That's one thing President Trump actually has done that nobody can deny is good or bad. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. He's done it, period. There's no arguing it. He has exposed these people because these people are so up in arms that they're not hiding anymore. They literally are coming out of the walls. They're everywhere. They don't know what to do. They're in a state of chaos. They're not sure what to do with themselves. And so President Trump has exposed them. It's kind of interesting if you really think about it. But anyways, I'm getting off topic like I'm so famous for doing. So now we have the IG report comes out. Damning Comey, by the way. Yeah, they use the word usurp. Usurping the Department of Justice. We'll get back to that. I'm sorry, but I just got to say it. The report says he usurped the Department of Justice. And he's out there selling books, making millions of dollars. That's what's happening. I don't know what to say to that. Oh, man. So kids are being separated, right? We got these illegal immigrants breaking the law, coming on in. And what's happening is when they're coming in 2, 3, 4 times, the criminal charges are moving from a misdemeanor up to a felony, right? Which makes sense. So what happens when I break the law? I commit a felony, we'll say for fraud. We'll say I stole a credit card and something, whatever. I committed a felony. And the state says, Weasel, you have to go to prison. You're sentenced to 18 months. 50%, do your time, then you can go home. Okay, great. So I go serve my punishment. What happens to my daughter? Well, she gets separated from me, doesn't she? Well, yeah, she does, doesn't she? Why aren't we talking about that? What's the difference? You do know that they are breaking the law. And a lot of times, now I'm hearing reports, don't trust the media, let's be honest, but I am hearing the media mention, I think this one's mostly coming from like Fox News. They're mentioning that there's people potentially, they could be, kidnapping children, just using them as a tactic to get into the country, sneak over the border, get caught, and be released because they're playing our own system against us. And that's something. Wow. Let's go ahead and play this. Now, here's the media. Okay, remember, we're going in order here. The IG report comes out, right? We're literally, and the way this works is when the IG report comes out, that's the inspector general. So there's no subpoenas. There's no, criminal charges, nothing like that. This is just a report. It's an investigation into the potential misleadings of the Department of Justice and any of its subsidiaries, right? So what has to happen? Now it has to be referred to the right jurisdiction, the attorney general, for charges, for people to be brought up on charges, if they're going to indict, if they're going to subpoena people, if they're going to get warrants to obtain evidence, all that stuff, and do these kinds of investigations and prosecute people, which, by the way, why are we not doing that? So it has to go through a whole process. There's a channel to it. So bear in mind that this IG report doesn't do that. All it does is it can make recommendations to the proper jurisdictions. Now, those prosecutors can choose to go after whomever if they want, if they feel there's the need to do it. So bear that in mind here. Now, the IG report comes out, damning all these people. I mean, all of them. Everything was done it was just wrong. Regardless if it was legal or not, it was wrong. Against procedure, there was bias involved. I mean, the whole shebang. Let's call it what it really is. You know as well as I do, it was a silent coup. It really was. Not everybody. There's just a handful of people. Look at Loretta Lynch. Oh my goodness. She met on a tarmac with former President Bill Clinton. And nothing happened. Nothing happened. That tells you how that administration, the Obama administration, was running things. They were caught. They should not have been talking to each other. There was a conflict. They were caught on the tarmac red-handed talking. Oh, we were discussing our kids and our golf game. Right. That's how stupid they think we are. That's how stupid they think we are. They're talking about what's going to happen with the investigation into Secretary Clinton's email scandal and whatever other scandals they've covered up for her. Millions of them. But I digress. So, IG report comes out. It's just very important. We need to be talking about this. We need to be discussing it. We need to be debating it, referring it over to the right jurisdictions, getting people prosecuted, the whole shebang, right? 6 hours later, what's going on?
The immigration controversy has ignited not only protests, but also efforts to help migrant families at the center of the crisis. Here's Carter Evans.
Protesters flocked to the federal building in Los Angeles today to donate toys to children who were ripped from their parents at the border.
Ripped.
Pretty overwhelming response.
On Friday night, they rallied outside the federal jail downtown where detainees have been housed. About 100 separated children are believed to be somewhere in the city. In San Diego, protests continued downtown, an effort to pressure the Trump administration to reverse its zero-tolerance immigration policy.
Shame! Shame!
Look at these idiots.
Along the border yesterday, Senator Kamala Harris visited a detention.
I almost can't get through the whole clip. It's only a minute and 30 seconds. I don't think I can get through it. You see these idiots? They want open borders, and we're getting to that. We're getting to that. Look what's happening. There's so much happening this week. Oh, I got to speed this up because we're running out of time. I got so much to cover. They want open borders. They really do. They want open border. You cannot, I've said it time and time again, you cannot have a nation. You can't have a country without borders. It does not exist. There's no way to have a country without your borders. These people really do want borders. I'm going to prove it to you here in a second. They really do not want borders, excuse me. And I'm going to prove it to you here in a second. Let's try and finish this clip.
Center where immigrants are being held.
These mothers have shared their stories, their personal stories that are a story
Listen to this witch
of a human rights abuse being committed by the United States government.
Even though the same process was happening under the Obama administration, but all of a sudden now it's an issue. Now Trump's the racist. Now he's this. Now he's that. I mean, look at it. These people are. The hypocrisy. The hypocrisy, ladies and gentlemen. I just can't. It sends me through the roof. All right, let's move forward. Sorry.
Knows what the children are going through. You left your family in Guatemala. You spent months in detention. You now have been granted asylum. Is it all worth it?
Yes, it's all worth it, and I'm not one of the person that Trump thinks I am.
See, they got it. They got it. That's what they needed. That was it. There it was. Look at them go. Look at them go. I'm not one of those that Trump said I was. How much you want to bet this retard, whatever his name is, it's a nobody. Nobody cares. Works for that slimeball organization, CBS. How much do you want to bet he told her to say that? I guarantee you he told her to say that. That's what they needed. Before they could end this, what do you call it, article or clip, this report, they had to get his name used in the same sentence as a negative. And they got it.
This group is now planning to bring its protest to
Carter
the border
Evans.
and deliver the toys they've collected to one of the detention centers.
Cut your hair, man.
Meanwhile, California state regulators are beginning inspections of those facilities.
California state regulators are beginning inspections of those facilities. This is how serious it's gotten. We have got to stop America from turning into Nazi Germany. These people have no scruples. They will stop at nothing. That's what makes them so dangerous, because they truly believe this crap that they are peddling. They believe their own lies. I think they've begun to believe their own propaganda. The crap they make up. I think they've begun to believe it now. Such hateful people. It's got to be hard to live day by day with all that hate in your heart. But let's move forward. All right, so now IG report comes out. We get 6 hours on it. And then wham, it's brushed under the rug over this. Nationwide protests and facility visits held amid immigration confusion. Let's move on. Now listen to these freaking retards. Excuse my language.
Who have been separated from their children. Love to hear what.
Look at him bobbing his head. Yeah.
Let's start with Amin.
Well, good morning. It was, heartbreaking,
Let's bash
emotional
Trump.
experience when we arrived. It took about an hour and a half before we were able to actually visit with the detainees, notwithstanding the fact that we had prior
We're part of the
legal
show.
Authorization from their attorneys and
Somebody's
from these
pulling my
individuals
strings
themselves to meet with us. But when we had the opportunity to finally engage with them,
Beavis and
seven
Butthead
members
over
of
here.
Congress led by Congressman Jerry Nadler, including Billy Pascrell, what was amazing about the experience is that these individuals had young children, in one case a son, who were ripped away from them, 5 years old, 7 years old, 12 years old, even though they had come to the border seeking political asylum. Because they had a credible fear of persecution back home.
So why did you?
Now that's a slippery slope. They came here seeking asylum. Now you do realize that they can seek asylum all they want. There's a process for it. Did they do that? No. What'd they do instead? They broke our laws. They broke our laws. And did you notice the word he used? Ripped from their parents. You notice that I don't know if anybody else has mentioned this. I think this one's my original. I think I figured this one out. You notice how all the media has used that same word, ripped from their parents. It's used to evoke emotion, kind of like saying abortion versus murder. Murder, one could argue, is a word to invoke emotion over just saying abortion or termination, right? That's what they're doing here. Ripped from their parents. Ripped from their parents. They weren't ripped from their parents. They separate them. These kids get schooling. These kids get food. They live better sometimes. They're living better than they were before they broke our laws and came into this country. So what's the solution? I'll tell you what the solution is. Put the kids back and their parents back together and send them packing. There's the door. Goodbye. Don't come back. That's the solution. Or if you want to come back, that's fine. But you're going to do it the legal way. Get in line. What makes you better than all those other people who have good merit, who are going through the proper channels, who are not breaking the law, and waiting their turn to get into the country and work towards becoming a U.S. citizen? What's so wrong with that? Well, I know what's wrong with it. It's because we don't have an open border. That's the problem. Yeah, watch. I'm getting there, ladies and gentlemen. That's what they're going for. And they're moving towards it. We got a couple more to get through. I'm sorry, I keep going off on a tangent here. Okay, I'm going to try to get through these idiots.
Why did you all decide to make this trip? What?
Well, we decided to make the trip to see for ourselves. Let's go there.
Yeah.
Which we usually do. We're the first responders. And we weren't shocked what we heard, but when you're listening to it, when you're hearing the emotion from the fathers on Father's Day,
yeah,
you have to sit back.
Oh my God! You gotta sit back. I'm gonna cry on national television.
Some comfort to the individual.
I want to be reelected.
We feel very strongly about this, and I want to reverse, Micah, the term the term that they've used, and that is zero tolerance. We have zero tolerance for this.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, guys. You know what? I can't even listen to this guy anymore. All right, we're just going to pass these people. You're getting the point, though, right? Here we go.
So what we need is comprehensive immigration reform. We need Obama. We need Trump now to make it clear that the United States of America is not a nation which tears children from their parents.
I mean, okay, you guys getting the point? Now, remember what he said. We need comprehensive reform, right?
It clear that fearful about being deported. So what we need is comprehensive immigration reform. We need Obama. These young people raised in the United States in school, working, are now fearful about being deported.
Now, fearful about being deported. Oh my goodness. Oh, they're so fearful. You know why they're so fearful? Because of you. You're the ones that are instilling the fear in them. You're the ones that are screaming that the racist in the White House is deporting everybody, which isn't true. But here we go. So the Democrats are calling for a way to get these DACA recipients, whatever you call them, the DACA people, into the country, or get them to stay in the country, amnesty, whatever, get them away to citizenship. That's what they want. That's what he's saying right here. A lot of these immigrants. Okay, now we're about to find out what happened. Compromise bill solves DACA without offering amnesty. What happened was, cannot think of the representative's name, so forgive me. He's a Republican representative. He's a little bit to the right, right of center. He's not like a hardcore conservative, but anyways, brought up a compromise bill. Now, what was in that bill? Let's find out.
The other issue you said was that some people think this is amnesty and it's not. Why is it not amnesty?
It's not, because what we do is, number one, no one is going to deport these children and young adults who were brought here as children before 2007 under the age of 16. No one is going to deport them today. Most of these people are in our country working productively today, or they're in universities and colleges. So those people aren't going to be deported. What we say is that we recognize their status, but after a 6-year period, they would have to get in line behind everyone else, every other immigrant seeking a green card and ultimately becoming a citizen. So we set up a legitimate, legalized process for them, and people who shout amnesty simply do not know what they're talking about.
Yeah. So you're saying they're not going to be deported, they just have to get in line behind the people that are already in line?
That's right, and we would...
Wait, what? Hold on. You mean to tell me that Congress actually brought up a bill that said, look, we're not going to ship them out. We're not going to kick them out of the country. We're going to compromise here. You're going to stay in the country and work towards your citizenship. Get in line, but you're not going anywhere. You're going to stay here, continue to do what it is you're doing. We're not going to separate you from your families, blah, blah, blah. That's what they just said. That's what this bill, this compromise bill that solves DACA, had in it. Let's keep going.
Grant them a legal status in the country in the meantime, and that's really critical to them to be able to work, to raise families, to buy homes, and et cetera. And so, look, we have a country right now that is booming in terms of employment. We have a shortage of jobs and a shortage of workers for the jobs that are available. Why would we, in heaven's name, want to send 1.8 million people out of the country? It would make no sense at all. We have more job openings right now than we have unemployed people in the country. This is what we need to do to keep the Trump economy, keep the boom in our economy going right now. We need to solve immigration.
So, Congressman, what do you think are the odds that you can make those changes and get enough House members on board?
Yeah. What do you think the odds are? Well, we should be good, right? Because the Republicans have the majority in the House, right? So it shouldn't be that big of an issue. And here's the best part. This is what the Democrats are saying they want. We just heard it. We just went through some of it. This is what they want. So what did Trump do? Trump signs an executive order making sure that these kids are not separated from their parents. Here it is. So now we have this bill. Remember, we have this bill coming up where we're literally giving the Democrats what they want. The Republicans are compromising, or so we thought. Now, Trump says, okay, you know what? Let's not talk about the IG report. Let's just sweep that under the rug after 6 hours. And since everybody's screaming and crying about this, Trump gave in on this one. I think he should not have, because this should have been done in Congress, not with the president's pen. Chuck Schumer's a retard. I'll say it again and quote me on it. Chuck Schumer's a retard. Anyways, let's move forward. So Trump signs in the executive order to keep illegal immigrant families together, blah, blah, blah.
All right. Turns out we don't have a lot of happy people. That this was a ploy from day one on the left. They got their lawyers together, the ethnic front groups, the Democrat Party, the ACLU. They all got their lawyers together and they said, okay, now we've trapped them. Now we push for what we really want, open borders. And you might say to yourself, what the hell's going on in this country? We have a Democrat Party, the biggest political party in the country, that's pushing for open borders? What is this all about? If you understand that the Democrat Party is essentially a shell for the radical progressive left, it's not what it used to be. It is a shell for the radical progressive left. They don't believe in borders. They don't believe in American sovereignty. They don't believe in our constitutional system. They reject our founding principles. Their intellectual forebears tell us this. That's what they tell us. So it's very, very important to keep in mind that what we believe in is not what they believe in, and we have this going on. I struggle to think of anything more barbaric. Keep it there. And so he signs this executive order yesterday, 48 hours after she puts this out, give or take.
Stretch Pelosi.
She says it's inhumane. We need to bring the families together. So he brings the families together. Now, the Levin solution is bring the families together and deport them together. The family that is deported together stays together. So I say this out of great compassion. And because I believe in protecting Americans, too. We don't know who these people are. And more than that, you came here illegally. You're using your kid. That's enough. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, it's the detention that they oppose. They used the kids in these detention centers to incorporate everybody, including the adults, and now we're being asked, it's America, do we detain entire families? Who does this? The Nazis did it. We did it. Japanese and who detains entire families? You can't detain an entire family. For God's sakes, what are you going to do with them? Deport them? You can't deport them. Too dangerous back there, wherever it is. Some lovely culture or country that we're not allowed to call an S-hole country. No. They have to come here or they won't survive. They'll starve to death. They'll be brutalized, whatever. Let them free. So turn America into a sanctuary country, like these leftists have turned so many of our states and cities into sanctuary states and cities. The progressive agenda, whether it be the media or the Democrat Party or these ethnic front groups, is always front and center. Have you noticed that? Their agenda is always front and center. And it doesn't matter who carries it. Could be a porn star. Could be a phony who wrote a fiction and called it a nonfiction book. Could be some clown professor from Yale. The president's mentally ill. The 25th Amendment. While she's sitting there going on and on like a mental patient. Fact of the matter is, the left media in this country pushes the nation's agenda day in and day out. And
you hear what he said? Their agenda is always front and center. That's my point here. We got proof of it right here. I mean, everybody knows it anyways, but I'm just showing, look what happened now. This is last week for you. A lot happened. IG report comes out. We get the IG report. That's out. And then they flip the script. They begin their new narrative to completely put anything opposing them on the defense. They're always on the offense. Always. And look at these two slime balls. I just can't look at them anymore. It's what it always is. Every time. And Mr. Levin is pointing that out for us just now.
We have got to figure out some way to crack that code.
For more, sign.
So what happened? The bill didn't survive. No Democrats voted for it. Remember, that's what they wanted. Or so they said they wanted. And that's what Mr. Levin was pointing out. Today they want this. Today they want that. But the truth is they just want open border. Make America a sanctuary country. We don't need borders. So you give them what they want, and what do? They reject it. They want more. It's like, how's that old adage go? You give a mouse a cookie, it's going to come back for some milk. You give an inch, they're going to take a mile. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, last week, President Trump failed. Hate to say it, hate to be one to say it, I'll call him out. He failed. He should not have given in. Should not have given in. No Democrat voted for that bill. The compromise bill, which would give, they're saying, now the Republicans are trying to find a way to not call it amnesty, but it is, it's amnesty. Get in line, you're not getting deported, we'll keep you here legally, we'll make it all legit, roadway straight to citizenship. And then the Democrats voted it down. Oh my goodness. The hypocrisy of these people. And you know what's worse? 41 Republicans voted against it. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. Let's go to the IG report, though. I just want to point something out here. Just real quick. We concluded that Comey's unilateral announcement was inconsistent with department policy and violated long-standing department practice and protocol by, among other things, criticizing Clinton's uncharged conduct. We also found that Comey usurped, let me say it again, usurped the authority of the Attorney General and inadequately and incompletely described the legal position of the department prosecutors. He usurped the authority of the Attorney General. Now remember, he answers to the Attorney General. The FBI is subject to the Department of Justice. There's no way around it. Don't believe those liberals and that crap they spew. There's no way around it. The FBI is not in the Constitution, okay? This is a department under the Department of Justice. Furthermore, the Department of Justice is not in the Constitution. This is created later. It is under the presidency, the executive branch. That's who they answer to. Now, they can answer to Congress as well. That is possible. Of course, we won't get into that. He went around the Department of Justice, who he answers to. So policy from the Department of Justice trickles down to his department, the FBI, the Bureau. And he went around that policy. He usurped the Attorney General and its authority. Just wanted to point that out. Anywho, so let's recap, and we'll call it quits. Liberal media's got us chasing shiny objects again. Here we go. IG report comes out. People should be prosecuted. We know that. There's no doubt in our minds that this just confirms it. So instead of talking about the IG report and recommendations made to the right jurisdictions for prosecutions, instead we're talking about children being ripped from their parents. Immigration. We have President Trump giving in and being defeated last week by the Democrats. And the Democrats didn't even accept what President Trump and the Republicans gave into. It was almost like, oh, this is what we want. Well, here, you can have it. No, we're not taking it. We want open borders instead. Wow. These people are radical. We have the Supreme Court of the United States allowing the states to tax online products. That is going to damage our economy. It will have a trickle-down effect. Yeah, I said it. Trickle down. Deal with it. It does exist. You ever notice how all these commentators and these retards go on to like CNN, you know, the Clinton News Network and MSNBC and, you know, and all those liberal mediums, and they talk about how trickle-down economics doesn't work. You remember Secretary Clinton standing up and talking about trickle-down economics doesn't work. Doesn't work. You're seeing it work right now. Look at the economy. Do I need to go pull numbers? Almost every number is at its all-time low. Almost all of them. Unemployment claims on an all-time low. All the minorities, all-time low. Women, almost there. Yeah. Don't feed me that crap. Because President Trump, what is he doing? He's doing trickle-down economics. Look at his tax bill. That is based off of trickle-down economics. Get the taxation off the back of the corporations. Let that money trickle down instead of going straight to the government. But I digress. So, Supreme Court failed us. President Trump failed us. House Republicans failed us. Liberals always fail us. We can bet on that. Take home a lot of money. It's been a rough week, ladies and gentlemen. Been a rough week. No, I'm not being a negative Nancy. We got an uphill battle here. We really do. Is this stuff irreversible? We have the executive branch, for crying out loud. We have Congress, for crying out loud, and they're kicking our butt. You know why that is? Honestly, you know why that is? Because they've infiltrated everywhere that matters. Really think about it. Now that the Republicans have the executive branch, the Democrats have the deep state. They use that deep state. The government is so big. The federal government has been expanded and expanded and expanded. And guess who's in it? Guess who's running things? Just because the leadership at the top is conservative, or arguably at least, or a different party, doesn't mean they're running everything. They're not really running much, to be honest with you. It's everybody underneath. That's who runs it. It's like having a business. I'm a businessman. All right, let's put it in business perspective. I own the business. I hire a manager. Manager runs it. He hires an assistant manager, 2 assistant managers. Those 2 assistant managers hire a bunch of employees. Right? And so forth and so on. And there the pyramid goes. I'm not micromanaging. No good owner would micromanage. That's the whole point in finding a good manager. That's what happens. It's the same thing. So that is why they're still able to do what it is they're able to do, even though we have the majority in the House and the Senate, and we have the executive branch, and we have the Supreme Court. We have a 5-4 on the Supreme Court. I almost forgot to mention that. And they're kicking our butt. Wow. If that doesn't worry you, I don't know what would. So yes, forgive me for being a little down right now. Okay? Man. And then when they do have the branches of government, they use those. Either way, they have their people in place. And worst of all, they have their fake news media. That's the worst of it all. They're the ones out there influencing all these people. And don't get me started on university professors either. All running around boning their students. Bunch of unethical pricks. But I digress. So, it's been a long week, ladies and gentlemen. Long week at all. And look at Bob Mueller. This retard. Gee, I wonder why. Why hasn't he prosecuted anybody for actual collusion? Sure. They've indicted a couple people, but none of it has anything to do with collusion. Whatsoever. Because it doesn't exist. Smoke and mirrors. Liberal media for you. That's what they do. It's all controlled. Everybody's seeing it. It's like puppets. They're these puppet masters controlling it all. I don't know who, but at this point, there's no denying it. There's no conspiracy anymore. It's in your face. Well, that does it for today's podcast. This is Weasel saying good day.